Okay, cool. So we are live now. Grant. So we're going to get started now in a second. So Leigh, thanks a million for joining us. Thanks for doing the talk. I know you're busy the last few weeks doing talks here, there, and everywhere. So we've seen you popping up on LinkedIn and Twitter doing loads of stuff. And Leigh gave us a couple of different topics that he had relevant that he thought might be suitable that we'd like here. And I think the title here is very interesting. And he's told us it's going to be controversial, and there's some crazy shit in it as well, which is always good. So the more controversial, the better. So Leigh, all yours, pal.
Cheers, thank you. Hello, Dublin. It's great to be in Dublin again, albeit this time it's virtual. Last time I was in Dublin, I think it was 3 years ago where I met the two guys. So thanks for the invite. I'm going to crack on. My Twitter handle is down the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I am Leigh Rathbone at Villabone on Twitter. And that's about as much of an introduction as you're going to get. The title, I'm going to go straight into it. The talk, I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey. So I'm going to sort of talk to you about what the future of testing looks like. But to do that and predict the future, I've got to build some credibility. So I'm going to take you on some very short stories of me working in tech, working on cutting edge technology. And then I'm going to go straight into what the future of testing looks like. But before I do all that, I want to tell you a little story. A story that I think will have happened to every single one of you in the last probably 2-3 years. I'm guessing that everyone on this call has had a phone upgrade in the last 2-3 years. And you will have gone through the following sort of emotions and journey. You order your mobile phone online, or you go into a shop and you get all excited. It comes in a little box wrapped in cellophane, and the excitement levels go through the roof. And you rip the cellophane off and it's like, oh my God, it's a brand new phone. I know this because it happened to me last week again. I ordered a brand new phone last week and I went through all of this again. And then when you lift the lid off the box, you see the phone there gleaming. And it's like, wow, a thing of beauty. And the excitement levels reach boiling points. And you take the phone out of its little box and you boot it up. And that's where the excitement finishes. That's where it's gone. Because then when you get into the phone, your brand new phone that you've paid £800, £900 for, you realize that you've got something exactly the same or very close to what you've been using for the last 2-3 years. And this is the story of why the phone is dead. The mobile phone has been very, very important. It's been a game changer for us, hasn't it? But the mobile phone is reaching the end of its shelf life. And if your journey as a tester is that you're testing mobile apps or mobile websites or desktop applications, then I'm sorry, but that journey is coming to an end. So in this, I'm going to relay why the mobile phone is dead. And I would love to do this in person to see a show of hands as to who thinks the mobile phone is dead at this point. Because what usually happens is 1 or 2 hands go up. And then by the end of the talk, about half the hands go up. So it'll be interesting to maybe do that at the end. But let's crack on. So just get my clicker working, my apologies. Right, okay, so there's a caveat. I'm not a test expert. I've only been testing for 22 years. That does not make me an expert. If anybody says to you they're a testing expert, they're telling you fibs. I'm not an IoT expert, and I'll talk about IoT in this talk, but I know very little about IoT and big data the same. I'm not a big data expert, although I have worked in big data. And these are my own extreme views. So let's get going. If this was in a room and I could see the whites of your eyes, I'd be asking you to put your hands up for the following. So who has tested, and I mean physically hands-on tested, a 3D printer, a cryptocurrency? Who's tested a bot? Who's tested an AI algorithm? Who's tested anything IoT related? And who's worked on anything, messed around with if this, then that? Sorry, there's an F missing there. It should be if this, then that. And who has built an Alexa skill? And I've just realized somebody has raised their hands, because I've realized you can actually raise your hands on this Zoom. So there's a few hands. There's 3 people that have raised their hands there. For those of you that didn't raise your hands, my feedback is this. If I'm a CTO and everybody on this call is going to be in my future test team, if your hands haven't gone up there, I'm wondering whether you're fit for purpose to be in my test team for the future. And I know that's really brutal, but I'm giving feedback here. I'm giving radical candor because I care. I care about my testing colleagues. So have a think about that. This is just a little seed I'm planting at the beginning of the talk, because now what I'm going to do is I want to go into the future of testing. But to do that, I've got to build some credibility. I I'm not Elon Musk. I can't just walk straight into a presentation and people believe what I say. So I'm going to take you on some short tech stories of me working on tech. And hopefully by doing that, I'll build some credibility ready for the big unveil of what the future of testing is without the mobile phone. Okay, so I want to start here. Hopefully this logo, you remember it. If you don't, it means you're quite young. Sony Ericsson in 2002 when I joined were a year old, and they were on the crisp of like becoming a major player in the mobile market. The main player was, of course, Nokia with over 60% market share in 2002. But Sony Ericsson would go on to be number 2 and gain up to 20% of the market share. So I was lucky to walk into a job in 2002, and I was working on this little thing here, the world's first color touchscreen smartphone. And it was really cool tech. I'd never worked on anything like it, and here is that phone, and you can see it still works. If you can see my screen, I'm waving a blue phone up to the camera. It's still working. I'm working on this tech. It was unbelievable. It was really cutting edge. Sony Ericsson believed in going out and taking that phone out into the wild and testing it at home, testing it while you're at a football match, on a train, and then coming back with feedback. It was phenomenal. And I worked on this as well, the world's first smartwatch over there. And lo and behold, yes, I have that world's first smartwatch here. 2005, I worked on this watch. It doesn't do much. You could control your music, you could get SMSs through it, and you could take phone calls on it. But it was the first ever smartwatch in the world, 2005. And working on this tech, whenever I used to pull it out and show my mates, you could see their reaction. They thought it was black magic. Oh, Darren, I've told you, not that black magic. Yes, that one, that's the one. Just can't get the stuff these days. It felt like I was dealing in magic. It felt like I was a rock star. Every time I showed my mates this new bit of tech, and don't forget, this was way, way before Apple came along. It felt like I was sort of like these cool dudes here. Every single moment felt like a rock star moment. So I know what you're thinking. This dude here isn't a rock star. I had to put an Irish rock star in there somewhere, didn't I? And he was the best I could come up with. I'm sorry. But if I can I take 5 minutes to relay a proper rock star moment, just to relay and drill home what working on this tech was really like. So this phone that I'm holding up to the camera now, when I was working on it in 2003, I was working on something called MMS. That's photo messaging. And a friend sent me a video on an email, and it was a great video. It was a Kylie Minogue video, and it was Kylie Minogue's agent provocateur marketing video that was banned in the whole of the UK. You couldn't watch or get hands on that video. You couldn't watch in cinemas. You couldn't watch it on MTV. You couldn't watch it on TV. It was banned. And this lovely friend of mine who still now gets a Christmas card every year sent it me on email. So imagine my joy when I see this email come in and there's an attachment and there's a video and it's 498 kilobytes. Now, the first thing that went through my mind was, no, it's not Kylie Minogue advertising her provocative agent provocateur underwear. I was looking at the size of the file and it was 498 kilobytes. And I thought, I know that MMS on this phone can only take 200 kilobytes. So this file that my friend has sent me would make great test data. So I transferred it onto the phone using USB transfer. Yes, back in 2003, you could use USB transfer to put stuff on a mobile phone. Apple did not invent that shit. So I put Kylie Minogue on this phone. I then thought, oh yes, I'll insert Kylie Minogue's video into a brand new MMS. So I did it. And I expected an error message. I expected the code to stop me inserting that video, but it didn't happen. It inserted. Bug number 1. And then I thought, I'll send that to another phone because it shouldn't send. The software should go, Leigh, fool, you're trying to put a video into an MMS which is far too big. Take it out, or something to that wording. But no, the MMS sent from this phone. And this is the original phone, by the way. And then something really strange happened in the next couple of minutes. I remember looking in the bottom left-hand corner of that phone and the orange network symbol disappeared. And I thought, that's odd. Then a couple of minutes later, everyone around me started saying, the orange network has gone down. And I thought, oh, that's odd. Then 10 minutes later, the head of engineering came out of his office, big, massive guy, 6'4", mad hair, proper mad professor look about him. And he comes ranting down the office with his arm and legs waving about, going, someone in this office has brought down the Orange network. And I went, that's odd. And no word of a lie, he stops right by my desk and he looks right at me and he goes, it was you, wasn't it? And I spent the next half hour in his office trying to explain why I inserted a Kylie Minogue video into an MMS and then brought down the Orange network. It doesn't end there. 6 o'clock news, BBC 6 o'clock news, nonetheless, not ITV, but BBC. You can't get much better than that. 6 o'clock news, 6:15, newsreader reads out, and today Orange suffered its biggest network outage to date. And I looked at my wife and went, that was me. She called me a barefaced liar to my face, but I know to this day that that was my Kylie Minogue video that brought down that Orange network. And back in the day, 2003, any kind of network outage made the 6 o'clock news because it was you know, the technology was new and it was big news. But that's why I felt like a rock star. So that's the Sony Ericsson story. I want to now relay the next part of my journey and the next part of cutting edge technology I worked at. But PlayStation 2009, I went in as head of European test operations and I worked firsthand on the augmented reality. And I thought that is a great bit of technology. Even in 2009, this was amazing technology. Although that's a PS Vita there, it was actually the PSP in 2009 that had the augmented reality in there. I also worked on the PS Move technology and that was shocking. And my gut feeling was that's not going to take off. 2011, just before I left, I saw the first VR headset prototype. I was very lucky in San Francisco to see 3 prototypes, and I thought, wow, it absolutely blew my head. I thought this is definitely going to take the world by storm. The actual technology, it's still yet to happen, but I still believe it gets a green tick in my eyes because I think it's going to change the world. And then, of course, there was 3D gaming, which I was heavily involved in. And when I was involved in it, I thought this just isn't going to take off. And my gut feeling was the return on investment, the experience just isn't there. So you can see now I've worked on quite a lot of what I would call back in the day, cutting edge technology. When you're working on it there and then, you don't think it's cutting edge. But it's only in time when you look back, you realize the impact of the technology you've been working on. And I guarantee this to everybody on this call, you will get these moments. The technologies you're all working on now, in years to come, you'll look back and you'll have those rock star moments. I guarantee it. So you can see I've worked on touchscreen, the world's first touchscreen, smartphone, the world's first smartwatch, and all the technology on that screen there. And what that's done is it's given me a gut feeling as to what I think will happen in the future. So now I'm going to go into predicting the future. Ooh. Did everyone go, ooh, then, or not? Okay, never mind. Okay, so I want you to really open your mind now and really concentrate on this slide. I'm going to go through it really quick. It's quite dramatic, but I want you to really concentrate now. So I want you to imagine there's a woman walking down the road and she's wearing the mixed reality Microsoft glasses. She's also wearing wearable tech. And I'm not talking about the wearable tech in that picture. I'm talking about wearable tech that is sewn into her socks, her tights, her underwear, her bra, her top, her jacket, her scarf, her hat. It's everywhere. And she sees walking down the road a woman wearing this red dress walking towards her. And many things happen in a split second. Her pupils dilate, a bit of sweat leaves the body, the heart rate goes up. The wearable tech and the Microsoft reality glasses pick that up because it's data, sends it through to a big data lake. It goes through a real-time decision engine, and a company projects back into the Microsoft mixed reality glasses top right-hand corner a picture of that woman wearing that red dress in her exact size. And a voice, because those glasses has a microphone and a speaker, a voice appears and goes, would you like to purchase? She says yes, it gets delivered, or even better, she 3D prints it at home and she pays for it with Bitcoin. Now that scenario there might sound futuristic. All the technology exists today. What's not there is all the technology sewing all of that together into a customer experience. But all of that, every single bit of one of those technologies exists today. Now, if you're a tester, and I'm assuming most people on this call are, then surely going through that, you thought to yourself, how on earth do we build and test that? Okay. So I've got a starter for 10. What went through my head was the moment she said yes, a voice payment took place. So security and payment are absolutely key. Interoperability of all the moving parts of all the tech that she was wearing, the glasses, all that interoperability and how fast they all talk and gather that data is absolutely key. The next bit, once the data hits the data lake and goes through the real-time decision engine, speed of data is absolutely essential because it's all about intent. When she walked down that road, the intent was when she saw that red dress. If we project 20 minutes later, a picture of her wearing that red dress, the moment's gone. She won't be interested. She's moved on to other things. So actually, performance and speed of data is key. A good answer is key, and I'm going to come back to that. Usability, really important. So what happens if instead of projecting the top right-hand corner of the glasses, we project it across both lenses? She can no longer see where she's going. She's walking down the road. She's had a few beers. She stepped out in front of the road. Bang, she's dead by usability. Okay. This is a made-up scenario. No one was killed in this scenario, okay? And personalization is king. Let me go back to the scenario. Let's imagine it's me walking down the road and I see someone, and I'm covered in all that tech that lady was, and I see someone walking towards me in an Ireland football top. I'm going to have exactly the same response. My pupils will dilate, my heart will go a bit, and a bit of sweat will leave my body because of my Irish heritage. Okay, so all the data says it's a good answer. The personalization is absolutely king there. It's spot on. The data has said Leigh loves this Ireland top. Let's project it. However, it's a poor answer because I don't wear green. Although I love Ireland, wearing green, I only wear black. You might see me in claret and blue every now and again because I support Aston Villa, but I only wear black. So actually, all the data said it was the right answer. The personalization was there. It was personalized correctly, but actually, it was a wrong answer. And then we're going to come to ethics, and God knows what we do with that. But I do have a little golden nugget later on for ethical testing. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere unless you're getting yourself a beer. Then you can get yourself a beer, but don't go anywhere else. Okay, so key takeaways. I want to go into this good answer, right answer, bad answer scenario. So I think as testers, it's in our DNA to look for right answers. I've been in testing 22 years, and in the old days, it was you had some requirements, and those requirements were the right answers. You could never question the requirements. Now we have user stories, we have acceptability, acceptance criteria, test criteria. But actually, I think that's wrong now. We're going to, because machine learning is all about probability and algorithms. I think as testers now, we need to move into a world where we're comfortable giving a good answer rather than a right answer. And I'll just bring up two brands here that do it quite well. They do customization and good answers quite well. So I'll just zone into Spotify. And don't worry, I'm not going to talk about the Spotify model, which is a sham. I'm not going to talk about the Spotify videos, which are a sham. I'm just going to talk about Spotify, the product. So if I go into Spotify and I type in New Order, because I'm a New Order fan, okay? I'm also a Joy Division fan, which you can see the poster over my right shoulder. Spotify slither their genres into 8,000 different genres, which I think that blew my mind when I found that out. So the next time I go in, they'll go, hey, Leigh, you listen to New Order. You're going to love The Smiths, because that'll be in the same genre. Now, what that machine learning doesn't know is if you're a New Order fan, you cannot be a Smiths fan. It's written in the 11th commandment, right? It's like football teams. You can't be a Man U fan and a Liverpool fan. It's like you can't be New Order and the Smiths. You're one or the other. But the machine doesn't know that, right? Because it's one of those nuances of like being a music fan. But that's where, I think Spotify and Netflix have got this whole customization, this whole good answer. They've really nailed it. I think they're two really, really good products out there. Now, you imagine being a tester and being asked to test for a good answer. It's about, with machine learning, you have to train it like you train a dog to know what a good answer and a bad answer is. And I'll come back to that later on. Okay, so I'm still in the zone of, predicting the future. So here comes some rapid predictions. In the future, there will be three kinds of people on this planet. There will be those in power. There'll be those that write code or involved in data. And there will be creative people being actors, being artists, that kind of musicians. That's what I mean by creative people. Now, we're all creative. But when I say creative people, that's what I mean. So if you've got kids or planning to have kids, this should worry the hell out of you, this prediction here. Because if your kids don't fit into those three, what on earth are they going to do? And actually, if you don't fit into those three, what on earth are you going to be doing? Here's another incoming prediction. Samsung will leave the mobile market by 2023. They know the mobile has had its day. That scenario where I spoke about the woman walking down the road where she was in the wearable tech and saw the red dress, there wasn't a mobile phone in sight there. Samsung know this. They're leaving the mobile market. They're planning their exit strategy and they're plowing all their money into IoT because that's where they know the future is. And it's not just me or Samsung that know that the death of the mobile phone is imminent. This is Gartner's predictions for 2023 and beyond. Now, there's a little bit of mobile stuff in there, so you can see a little bit of mobile there. But actually, the rest is AI, blockchain, AI, machine learning. It's had its day. Everyone can see it. Everyone knows it. Why do people not believe me when I say the mobile phone has had its day? Why are companies still focusing on mobile and desktop? Why are very few focusing on all this here and how their products need to change to fit into all these trends? It baffles me. It really does. So I'm hoping some of you now know and believe me when I say the mobile phone is dead. And this is interesting. I think one of the main key accelerators to killing the mobile phone is Mother Nature. So, in February, driving around Britain, I was driving to a lot of villa matches, and Staffordshire, which I don't know whether you know where Staffordshire is, it's just just above the Midlands, or part of the Midlands, sorry. It was underwater, and I was trying to get to Villa Park. I'm being dramatic. It was flooded. It wasn't underwater. And it was flooded, and I thought to myself, wow, Mother Nature really is fighting back. And this was before coronavirus came on board. And now coronavirus is here. It's accelerated the use of robots. People are thinking differently about tech. And what comes out the other side in the next 12 months will show us where we should point our skills as testers. It really should. Okay, so let's get on with it. What does this all mean? So I've shown you what the future is. I know now you believe me when I say the mobile phone is dead, but what does it mean regarding where our skills should be, what we should be doing straight away? Well, first of all, before I go into that, I want to focus on the biggest tech swindle ever to hit the tech industry, and it's automating at the UI. So I just want to get this off my chest. It's a bit of a rant, okay? So UI automation sort of hit the testing arena about 20 years ago. I remember using WinLoad Runner and WinRunner, and they were shocking tools. But what's happened is we've all been hoodwinked. What's happened is tool vendors have told us that automating at the UI takes away all your pain. Well, in my experience, those strategies and those vendors haven't given a monkey's what's been happening below the bonnet at unit level, at API/service level. And as test departments, we've gone off and created our own strategies using our own tools without syncing up with the dev teams to see exactly what it is they're doing in their own testing. I know things are changing now, but the juggernaut, which is UI automation testing, is well and truly here, guys. It's frightening. I'm a great believer in UI automation, by the way, I really am, but it has to be when it's joined up with the whole strategy of quality, not as a standalone. I almost feel, if you've seen Lucky Number 11, this is, they talk about the Kansas City Shuffle in the film, and I almost feel this is what's happened with UI automation. The Kansas City Shuffle, in case you're wondering, in this very poor quality picture that I've taken, the guy on the left is saying, hey, what's a Kansas City Shuffle? And Bruce Willis goes, well, it's when everyone looks right and you go left. And as the lad looks left, he gets up and kills him. But this is what's happened with UI automation. We've all looked left, whereas actually we should have been looking right. We should have been working close with devs. We should have been saying, what's the quality strategy, not just a UI automation strategy. It does my treeing. It's almost like Spotify. Spotify produced these videos in 2014 and hoodwinked a lot of us. They weren't even using Agile the way they described it in these videos. It's the biggest IT recruitment propaganda tool the world has ever seen, the Spotify videos. So what I'm doing is I'm just venting before I get into the real good stuff. And here's a picture that made my head explode when I saw it. Only manual testing is dead. Automation testing, the new generic. I strongly disagree with that, and I'm going to bring to life exactly why I disagree with it. I believe a tester of the future needs a toolbox that they take around with them that has many, many different skills, traits, and behaviors in there, of which automation is one, but exploratory testing is a great tool, and I think all testers should be able to do that. So let's get into it then. What is it we need to do? So the good news is testing is not dead. I think you may have had a talker that said testing was dead. I don't think it is, but I do think we have a tough journey ahead of us. I do think we need to be really resilient. We need to morph into quality champions where we are SMEs in quality, in testing, but actually we're comfortable letting other people better equipped to do some forms of testing. We need to be agile in mindset, but we need to be change agents, and we need to get more technical. And the reason for that is I feel, let me take you back in time to a bit of a story. In the old days of testing where you had big waterfall test teams, you'd get all excited on one day because the noises were, the release is coming. The software release from devs coming tomorrow, guys. And we'd all go home going, yes, tomorrow we flood the defect database. And we'd all come in, we'd launch the new release. And lo and behold, by midday, I could have had 10 defects in there. And that's how we proved our worth back in the day. Shocking, isn't it? Absolutely shocking. But now I feel the quality of code produced by devs and dev teams, of which we are part of dev teams, I think the tools that devs are using, especially in cloud like AWS, where the tools are all there to help devs create better code, it means that the code is of better quality. So our skills have got to change along with that. And this is the talk I gave in 2017 at Test Bash Dublin. And it was all about going on the front foot. So you can take the blue pill and do nothing, and nothing in your life will ever change. Or you can take the red pill. And that's what I hope happens again after this talk. I hope that some of you will realize that actually there's some change coming and you need to change to stay relevant. But I thought I'd just put that in because it is all about self-development. This is something I've made up. It's called the Rathbone Learning Quadrants. And you can take a photo of this, you can screenshot it, or you can wait for the presentation to come your way afterwards. But basically what I've done is I've stolen the agile testing quadrants and made a sort of learning quadrants from it. And it's no different to the agile testing quadrants. Let's move around the quadrants. So bottom left, if you're stuck as to what to go after for self-development, I'm hoping this somehow gives you some guidance. So if you look at trends from tech thought leaders like Gartner, ThoughtWorks, if any of you haven't looked at ThoughtWorks Tech Radar, go and have a look at that. Then there'll be things that you could be looking at there from these thought leaders as to how you can change your skills and where you should be focusing. If you go top left, trends from your company roadmap. So how many people, and it'd be great if you could use that hands raised thing again. How many people have gone and spoken to the architects, your product owners, your CTOs in the last 4 weeks to say, what's the product roadmap looking like? Because I need to make sure my skills are aligned to what we are producing. And I can see 3 people have raised their hands. Thank you. Thank you. It's amazing how many people don't do that. I used to pester all the architects to say, what's the future looking like? What's the future like? Because I want my skills to stay relevant to the company I'm working for. And if we move to the right, the trends from your craft. So testing is your craft. What are the trends in testing? Well, just by being on calls like this or going to MOT type community events, meetups, conferences, that's where you'll pick up what the testing trends are. Now, the caveat there is 10 years ago, the trend you would have heard is the one I hate, which is everything should be automated at the UI. So always beware what you hear within your own craft. And then bottom right is trends from your company's industry. So if you work in gaming or retail or banking, what are the specific trends in there? And I'll give you an insight there. I've just come from a retail company, and I think the future of retail is voice and visual. So, you know, creating my first Alexa skill was one of the key things I took away from this. And if you're really lucky, when you go through these quadrants, you might find something that crosses all 4 quadrants. And if you do, my God, start there, because you'll be ticking a lot of boxes. Okay. And I think as testers going forward, we really need this keyword in the middle here, because I think the future is going to be quite rocky. And I've got some really uncomfortable slides coming up in a minute. You know, this is a great slide. I'm not quite sure where I stole this shit from, but if you do find this slide on Google, have a look at those 4 things around it and ask yourself, how would I mark myself out of those? I think building resilience is going to be a key thing for testers going forward. Okay, so what else is there? Let's get technical. Okay, so the Rathbone Guide to Building and Testing an Alexa Skill. So let me tell you a story. Okay, so 3 years ago, I realized that Alexa was really going to take off. So I thought to myself, how do you test an Alexa skill? So I thought, oh, shit, yeah. In order to test an Alexa skill, I need to know how to build one. So I got myself a free AWS account. I went into the Amazon Alexa developer kit. Guess what? That was free as well. I then started building my first skill, and I got stuck, well and truly stuck. So I then started pairing with another guy, and we both got stuck again. So then we went into a mobbing session where we had 6 people, 1 screen, 1 keyboard, 1 mouse, and we rotated the seat that people typed in, and everybody else was then chatting and driving. And we actually got it over the line, and we built our first Alexa skill. And what I realized from that is I now know how to test an Alexa skill, because I've been knees deep in the architecture of an Alexa skill. So my one advice would be, this isn't mind-blowing. If I can do it and I'm not technical, you can do it as well. Be brave and go and have a look at how to build an Alexa skill. The first one you build, you can just hard code 1 response that Alexa will say back to you. If that's what you want to get to, just to see how it's all built, go and do it. But this is why I think Alexa is going to be really important. Look at this perfect family here. I mean, this is not a photoshopped picture. And if anybody says otherwise, I'll come and track you down, I'm telling you. I mean, look at this lovely, beautiful family. They're all so attractive, aren't they? Look at this lovely dog. And then look at this here, the Alexa. I'm sorry, doggy, but 2-3 years' time, you're out of here. You're gone. And everybody of this beautiful family with perfect teeth and perfect eyes and perfect hair will be stroking the most perfect bit of kit on the planet, the Alexa. I'm telling you now, the reason I know that is because 3 years ago, when I walked through my front door, my daughter said to the Alexa, and that is a Mark 1 Alexa, I bought it on the day it came out. She said, Alexa, tell a child what a noun is. Now that was powerful, because when you see kids using tech, you know it's going to become mainstream. This is how I know voice is going to become mainstream, and is mainstream now, because back in the day, my daughter was using it. And on top of that, the flip side, I bought my mother-in-law one, and she's probably about 78 now, and she's completely blind. She can't see anything. She can't even see shadows. And I went around one day, and she was in the conservatory, and she was dancing to some jive music. She was chatting away to Alexa, playing next song, and she treats Alexa like a companion. That's when you know tech's going to be mainstream, I'm telling you. Okay, so go and build yourself an Alexa skill. So let's now talk about big data. Big data's scary. Big data, guess what, is no different to data from years and years ago. It's just the tools we use and where data comes from is different. So on the left here, you can see that all the sources of data are changed. So the formats of data have changed. That's why we need all this shit here. But actually the concept of data coming in, going through some kind of transformation, and then going into a warehouse, just like it used to in the old days, then coming out to be a report to somebody, is still exactly the same. So my advice here is, don't be put off by data. Yes, the tools have changed, but the concepts are still the same. And if anybody puts this kind of picture up in front of you, it's to scare you. This is all the different kinds of different data tools that can be used in the big data lake, right? Don't be scared. If they're putting this up in front of you, it means they're an arse, because they're trying to scare you to build a myth as to how important big data is and how complex it is. Don't be scared. In every single one of those blocks, they'll only be using 1, possibly 2 of those tools. Okay, so don't let people put you off and build this myth around big data is scary. It's not. Okay, so as we're talking data, I want to give you those 11 golden nuggets there regarding ethical biases in data. I think this is going to become massive, ethical bias testing. And here are 3 tools on the bottom left that all data scientists should be looking at. Right, So as a tester, if you've got a data science team, your job isn't to know how to run those tools. Your job is to ask the question of data scientists, how do you know there's not biases in your algorithm? How do you know the data that you're using, test data, hasn't got biases in it? If they look at you with a blank face, it means they haven't used any of these tools here, which means their algorithms and the test data they're using will most likely have biases in them. This is where being a great question asker kicks in for a tester. Okay, and IoT. So in big data, the cloud, IoT, for me, it's absolutely security and performance are king. So if there's two things you want to take away from this, it's go and learn some kind of security using OWASP, using ZAP, or use performance, or go and learn what performance testing is. Because these are the two things. If you think about that scenario with the woman walking down the road with her glasses, performance and security was on that list. It's on this list for IoT. It's on the list for Alexa. It's going to be on the list when I go into the cloud in a minute. That's your big takeaway there, security and performance. And the world's changing, isn't it? The world's going into the cloud. And that's pure vodka, by the way, if anyone's asking. So as testers, it's really important now to understand pipeline as a code. I know POC stands for proof of concept. Well, it's changing now. POC stands for pipelines as code. And it's really important now to understand the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. But I like this slide below better. I like the fact that it really brings to life the difference between agile, continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and DevOps. Understanding those and where you can ask and when you can add value is going to be key. Asking a team to draw out their pipeline is one of the most powerful things a tester can do, because some teams don't know how they put code live. So if there's anything you can do to add value to your team tomorrow, it's ask them to draw out their pipeline. It will drive out so many questions and so many, why are we doing it like that? It will add value. Okay. And microservices, people think microservices are scary. Well, let's blow that myth as well. Microservices are here to stay, but they're no different to how we've worked previously. You have a database. You have a very, very thin slither of code that goes up to a UI. It's as simple as that. Yes, the tools, it's in the cloud, and yes, it's automated. So usually all this as a pipeline for microservices is all automated. But here, you still need to do exploratory testing. You still need a thin automated UI pack. So don't be scared by microservices. Okay, and what else? We're on the back straight now. Come on, we can do this. Stay with me. Uncomfortable slide, incoming. Okay, demand for testers in the future will be less. And I'm sorry if that makes people feel uncomfortable, but I'm talking from experience. In my previous company, when I joined 5 years ago, we had 100 testers, and now there's probably 40. There's many, many reasons for this, and I think I've touched on some of them. The fact that the tools that devs use now are creating better quality code. I think if you're in AWS, the pipelines that you can create make you a lot quicker. I think some leaders in tech don't see value in testers. I don't believe that. I believe testers add loads of value. I'm a tester, but I think there is this thing about when cuts come, and in COVID we've seen cuts. Guess what? It's the BAs and testers that usually go first. It's very rarely the devs go. So I'm joining a company tomorrow for a new job, by the way, and they have 17 people in the tech team and not a single tester. And this is the reality. They now want a quality coach to come in. They haven't said anything about wanting a tester. Okay, so not as uncomfortable, but here's a little something we can do. So there's testing in the middle, the craft of testing. I believe we are a firm part of this. So this is the shift left. So we are part of the testing crew, the development crew, the team that create code. And that's the shift left. We want these guys to be embedding automated tests at unit level, API level, etc. And we want to be part of that and drive that. But this is something that I don't think we're zoning into as testers. And I think these are opportunities. So I think shift right is a huge opportunity for testers. And shift right, if you ask people what does shift right means, I'll give you my take on it. There's one take, which is shift right means putting monitoring, alerting and logging into code for when it goes live, or testing in live. That's one take on it. My take here is that I think agile teams reach a certain internal level of quality. But that's as far as they can go, because sometimes they don't have the environments. And sometimes I think the future will be engaging some trusted customers to put software in their hands and getting that quantitative and qualitative feedback from them. So I think that's a major thing for the future. And this is Mike Cohn's quote. He's one of the Scrum inventors. So get something done enough that you can get feedback on it. Repeat until the feedback is that you've done enough. I don't think we as an industry have cracked this. And I think this is a real opportunity for testers to say to the team, I think we should stop here and put it in the hands of users and go and spend time with those users. I want to talk to you about this company. This company is called Digital Bridge. And what they do is they've got an app and you can scan your bathroom, an empty bathroom. So let's just say you've got a new build or you've ripped your bathroom out. You can scan your bathroom, and using machine learning, it will tell you where to put your sink, your radiator, your toilet, your shower in order to maximize the space in your toilet, your bathroom, sorry. Okay, so when they were doing a talk, they finished their talk at this conference I was at, and I ran up to the stage and I grabbed them and I said, how do you test for that? And they told me exactly what I thought. They said, we get to an internal quality and then we go to people's houses because we do not have bathrooms that we can test in our office. So we pick some trusted customers and we put the phone in their hands and we look for the qualitative and quantitative feedback. And this is a really good opportunity for testers to ask those questions. How do we know this is going to work when we go live? Okay. So here's something, again, my view is your customer simply does not care whether you use waterfall, agile, lean principles, DevOps, automation. What they want is value. And it's just something to hopefully make you feel a bit better if you're getting a bit lost in all the DevOps, the automation, lean principles. You're probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed with everything that's going on in the world. Your customers want value. So as a tester, focus on that. And also, here are the testing quadrants. The words on the right here, if you're not technical, or if you're not in DevOps, or if you're not in microservice world, or if you're not in the cloud, don't worry. These things on the right are still really, really mega important for testers. The critical thinking, lateral thinking, the question asker, QA. And I've said QA around the quadrants. I always think we don't ask enough questions around these two quadrants here. And that's why I put yellow blobs around them. I think testers will become community builders. I think testers will become the glue that holds teams together. I think we will morph to be quality coaches and quality advocates. And I'm almost done, almost on time to the minute. Got one minute left. So moving forward, this is the future. Creating and testing software does this. We need to do this. Determine the intents our customers care about, understand when, where they first occur. It's everything I did in that scenario there. That is the future. And as a tester, you need to focus on that. And that's a screen from James Whitaker, by the way. So you're going to need some of these special ingredients. You're going to need to be more pirate. That is a fabulous book. Give it a read. It's all about agile. What people don't realize with pirates is they were very strong on community, equal rights. Everyone got paid the same. If you got injured, you got compensation. They had more women on board a pirate ship than throughout the whole British Navy. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. And you're going to need some of that on the right. So this is what's called the curiosity gene. And to order to move forward and be relevant in the future for everything I've said, you're going to need some of that curiosity gene, and you're going to need to be a fire starter, twisted fire starter. And I'm now out of time, so I'm now on to these books that have been absolutely pivotal to me. None of them are testing books, by the way. But if there is one book you need to read, it's that, because that is one of the most powerful things I've ever read in my life. It's really, really given me an insight as to how I think the world's going to look from a tech perspective and how DevOps works and how I can add value. So give it a read. These two videos are really good. Humans Need Not Apply is really, really cool. But this is the one I want you to watch. Arthur C. Clarke in 1960. Give that a watch. This guy was a genius. Look at him. Doesn't look a genius, does he? He was. His video there predicts the future. He predicts in a 1960 video there that surgeons will be in New Zealand doing brain surgery on patients in the UK. by the year 2000. He also wrote Space Odyssey 2001. He's a clever, clever dude, man. Thank you very much. And I've finished 1 minute over time. My apologies. Thank you. I need a drink.
You can have your minute. That was outstanding. Cheers, Lee.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. That was really good. I've been laughing away while my second can here the whole way through that. So that's quite good. And Darren's got the exact same thing as well. So that was brilliant. Thanks a million, mate.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
We'll open up to questions, and just, as usual, just stick them in the Q&A box if you can. It's easier so I can do them out, so it works better for the recording. So
shall I stop sharing now?
You can leave it there. Doesn't make a difference.
Okay, cool.
It's a nice little thank you slide anyway. So we'll start firing away the questions. Once you have a question, stick it in the Q&A box and we'll get through them. There's one there already from Declan Connolly. Declan has one there. So I completely agree with all the points. Lee, also believe people are completely wrong about manual testing being dead. How do you feel we can work to change people's mindsets towards the value of testing in particular?
I think it's really hard. Every company will have its own unique answer to that. So I can't answer Declan's answer for his company because I don't know the characters he's dealing with, but I think it's all about demonstrating the value. I think if you can show value in exploratory testing and show what you're doing, and the way we did it at Very was we got the business in a room and we got them all doing, we did a mobbing session in the room, but I suppose mobbing was the wrong word. We got them all a handset, got them all in the room. We gave them a little exercise to do, so a charter. And then we showed the feedback to the leaders to say, actually getting the business to do exploratory testing, look what information and observations we come back with. And those observations and questions drove a massive, massive discussion. We found out actually our usability was really poor. So that's where we actually showed the value of exploratory testing, but every single company is going to have a different answer to that, I'm afraid.
Okay, cool. Next question, Dara Curtis. Hey, Dara. Dara's asked, do you think QA testing will become AI in the future?
Oh, okay. So, you know, Facebook have got their bot that goes around fixing code. The one thing I will say is even AI has to be tested, right? So machine learning, AI, I suppose AI isn't really here yet. It's still machine learning, isn't it? But whenever you create code, it has to be tested. Machine learning has to be taught like a dog. I said it earlier, it has to be trained like a dog. And that needs a BA, a tester, a dev to work really close together to make sure that you're training that machine learning correctly, your data scientist. It takes a real good team to train machine learning. So I think even if testing is done by something else, somebody needs to test that something else.
Okay, cool. Cheers. Brendan Dunnigan, HH. Brendan's asked, Brendan, can you elaborate on what you mean by automating through the UI being a scam? In many cases, there's huge amounts of logic coded in the UI. Yeah,
I was being, I wanted to get people's emotions going, to be honest. A lot of these slides are there to invoke things like this. So I even put contradictions in there, don't I? So even at the end, when I put those videos up, like humans need not apply, it's there because it's a contradiction. I want to see who picks up on it. But to answer this one, I think what's happened with automating at the UI is it was driven by vendors. And my experience of automating at the UI, and I've been guilty of this, by the way, I've been part of this scam and this sham, is that it's never been linked up strategically to what's happened through the stack and who's doing what. It's always been standalone teams that have had their UI tool and they go off and they think the value is to have 2,000 UI scripts. Whereas, let me tell you a story. Late Rooms, when I went to Late Rooms, they had 20,000 unit tests. I think they had 100 API tests and 3 UI automation scripts. Because they had all that trust at unit level and API level, they only automated the 3 things that was important to Late Rooms. That was search for a hotel, book for a hotel, and pay for a hotel. Now, they did exploratory testing at UI, but they didn't believe in automating the hell out of the UI at all. So again, it's specific to each company, isn't it? But I believe there's been a scam that's happened and we need to readjust it to make sure that whatever we automate at the UI ties in closely with the whole strategy for quality, not just as a standalone thing.
Okay, cool. Grand. We still have 5 minutes or so. If anyone else wants to fire in any more questions into the boxes, if you answered that already. If anyone else has any questions, you can stick them in or stick your hand up if you'd like, and we can just unmute you if you want to just do it that way, either or.
Can I ask a question to the room?
Go for it.
So can I ask if you've changed your minds through a showing hands thing of whether you think the mobile phone is actually dead or not? Can people sort of...
Raise your hand.
Okay.
There's some hands coming up now.
Okay.
Sharon, Craig, Dara, Courtney.
So I'll let you into a secret. The title, the whole talk is provocative. But actually, I think what's going to happen with the mobile phone in reality is right now, it's your primary device. It's what you do everything on, basically. I think it will just come and be part of the layer of tech. It won't become obsolete. It will go from primary to just being part of a layer that sometimes you won't even be aware what part in that layer you're using, but it will just not be primary. The mobile phone certainly is not dead. I just believe it will just come down to be part of this big layer of tech.
I'm going to jump in and answer that one, Brendan. No, he can piss off. He's had his chance. Brendan, just for the purpose of the recording, you can't see the question. Brendan's asked, if Southgate doesn't select Grealish for England, do you think he should declare for Ireland? I think we can all know that should be a clear no. He turned these two things into the stage. It's a no, Brendan.
Okay. It's tickled me, that one.
Yeah, we'll take that one out of the recording. I'm going to edit that one out tomorrow.
The one thing I didn't mention in the talk was the test management role. And that's the role that I think is at most risk going forward in testing. It's the role that I'm seeing reduced at a faster rate than any other role that I'm seeing at the moment. So if anybody wants to have a chat with me offline about the role of the test manager and where I think that's going, I've done a couple of talks on that as well. And I'll be interested in people's thoughts after as to what they think the role of the test manager is becoming. I've
definitely seen that myself over the last year or two as well. Teams not needing a test manager as much, the way they're structured. Maybe not. They don't need a definitive head of test. They don't need somebody who's just a pure test manager managing people. That as well. The way they're structured, they don't really need it anymore. And Darren's favorite topic anyway about different types of coaching people. I suppose Darren.
I do think tech goes through trends, and the trends I've seen is I remember Google getting rid of all their managers in 2002 because they said managers weren't needed. And then everybody that was not getting any time or coaching said, I've got no career because I don't have a leader to go to coach me. So they then went out and re-employed all their managers again. And the same with Google. I'm using Google as an example. 2009, they got rid of all their testers. And I think that's where James Whittaker's talk, Testing is Dead, came from in 2011. And lo and behold, 2012, 2013, they realised their mistake and brought testers back in. I remember late rooms again getting rid of all their scrum masters because that was the trend. You don't need scrum masters. If the agile teams are mature, you don't need scrum masters. Got rid of them. And then literally 18 months later, brought them back in, although I think they call them delivery managers. But I think everything goes through trends. And the trend I'm seeing at the moment is testing's taking a hit. But I do wonder if that's just a trend and we'll see it come through the other side and ramp back up. I simply don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So says all of us. Grand. Okay, there's no more questions. We'll probably leave it there. So Leigh, thanks a million, mate. That was absolutely brilliant. The recording of this will be up online tomorrow once I get out and get it done. So we're going to open YouTube tomorrow. So anyone who's missed it, or any of your mates or colleagues at work or friends who might want to watch it as well, feel free to share it out with them and we'll do it that way. We'll stick Leigh's Twitter handle is there at the bottom as well. If anyone wants to reach out to him, Twitter, LinkedIn, I'm sure Leigh, whatever's best with you as well. Yeah. Here, as you can see, pretty well able to speak anyway. Best of luck with your job tomorrow as well. I'm sure you'll fly it after your few weeks off as well. We'll have a new sponsor from next month because I have a new job myself starting in a few weeks' time. So we'll have a new sponsor from there. So we'll keep that on the long finger for now. But so we'll have the next talk probably in the next 3-4 weeks there. Probably the end of the month, I suppose.
Yeah, hopefully Connor from Cork got onto me, so we should have somebody.
At the moment, so we'll have stuff coming up anyway. Yeah.
Just on that subject, if anyone in here wants to talk, or knows anyone that wants to talk, or knows anything about anything to talk, give us a shout because we're always looking for speakers.
And we're obviously online probably at least until the end of the year anyway. So we'll see how long it actually takes. We're hoping to be back full steam ahead at this stage, but no, so we're live. But Leigh, definitely when we do get live, whether it's in 6 months or 12 months or maybe 3 or 4 months, we'll have to fly over for a trip as well because I think we could definitely do something. I think one of your talks there are great, but I think there's definitely. I remember your one in Smock Alley Theatre a couple of years ago, how energetic it was live as well. So it comes across from what being online there. So we'll have to get you across to do one in person as well, and then give you an excuse for a few pints of Dublin.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Thanks for the involvement.
Cool. Great. Thanks a million, guys.
Thanks so much, buddy.
We'll see you all in a few weeks' time. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.